I watched last night's episode and fuck, I fell asleep. Like, the wife had to give me the elbow like a couple times. I fell asleep twice. That fucking show.
She probably doesn't care.
Like,
she probably doesn't care if you're actually watching the show or not. She just doesn't want to listen to you snore. She's like, I can't even hear the TV.
Well, what's funny is like I saw some tweet. Somebody was like, "Oh my God, Walking Dead is back. Last episode was so awesome." I'm like, I felt like tweeting back like, "Did you watch the same episode I did? Like, it's been a fucking bore fest for the last 3-4 seasons. Like, what the fuck?"
Season 7 I didn't mind, apart from the fact that I just despise Negan so much to the point where my skin crawls when he's on screen.
I feel like I'm in a bad marriage and I can't get out.
Well,
like I'm too heavily invested in this fucking thing. I can't get out.
A buddy of mine who lives down in LA I was chatting with about it, and he's like, the only reason I stick with The Walking Dead is because it's the only thing that I've been dedicated to for 8 years in my entire life, and I'm not about to give up now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I am in the same
That's
place
funny.
that your buddy is. Like, I just feel I can't abandon it now. Like, I've gone too far.
Oh, man, I don't know.
I just really love how Carl started out as 8-9 years old and now he looks 26. Hey everybody, welcome to Press X to Podcast. It's February the 28th, 2018, and this is episode 8. I'm your host, Paul Sullivan, and alongside me I've got the big man himself. It's Trevor Houston.
Hello, everyone.
And the slightly smaller man, Shawn Petraschuk.
I'm not smaller than Trevor, am I? We're about the same, aren't we?
Slightly, just slightly.
Depends, are we talking height or girth?
Well, I think you got me on height. I think I've got you by a smidge on girth.
You know, let's not elaborate on girth. Let's just leave it there.
Yeah, how many times can you fit the word girth into 30
I
seconds?
think we did, 5 times? It's actually pretty impressive.
I'm good with that. Did you guys have a good weekend?
I did.
No, I've been sick. So you know, I've got the man flu, so I'm basically on my deathbed.
Were you sick all through your weekend? Like the whole weekend?
I felt it on Friday, and it's just been getting worse by the day. And yeah, if I don't make it through, tell my wife I love her. Tell the listeners I love them. I thank them for listening. I thank them for downloading and not listening if they're doing that. Tell my daughter I love her.
Well, I think
if I don't make
you
it,
just did. I mean, we have all this now officially.
Yeah,
recorded.
we have evidence, so it's good. I got there, but I'm essentially on my deathbed.
Could we convince you to say, I leave my house to my good pal Shawn?
Yeah, I'll leave you my dog, Leonard. He snores at night, but otherwise he's adorable.
After all we've been through, you're going to give me Leonard? That's more of a punishment than it is a gift.
But he'd love playing with the Shebas, with Shawn Shebas.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take your stupid dog.
It comes with a stuffy too. He has a little stuffy.
Does he hump the stuffy?
Yeah.
Someone's got to.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't hump the stuffy anymore. Not anymore. Not ever since he's been snipped.
Seems like why any dog ever has a stuffy. It's because it's like the owners get tired of the dog humping their leg, so they're like, "Here, have this."
Go to town.
I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of pugs too. Pugs, maybe they're just horny bastards. Just defiling Pikachu dolls or Pikachu stuffies. Pikachu!
Good Lord. Do you have any games near your deathbed, Trev?
I haven't played a ton. I've been playing a little bit of Fortnite again, which is a great game. My daughter's been getting into it, so I've been watching her play a little. I jump in there for a few rounds, and yeah, it's awesome. It's so much fun. Just love everything about it. And I also played a little bit of Assassin's Creed Chronicles India because it's free for Xbox Live Gold members, probably for a couple more days here until March. Or how long is that one free for?
If it's on Xbox Live, or if it's games with gold, it'll be available until end of today.
End of
today. If it today being the 28th.
Well,
yeah, March 1st is new games. No, it depends. Some of the games where they do the 15th to the 15th type thing.
Yeah, I think some of them they do to the
They
till
start
mid-month
mid and
or
end.
something like that.
So I don't know which
Yeah,
schedule it's on, but is it
but
any good though? Like, I mean,
um, I'm not crazy about it. I mean, I can see if you're like one of those hardcore platformers that love like those real punishing platforming experiences, you probably would like Assassin's Creed India. But I mean, the art style is beautiful. Like, it's a beautiful looking game. I just had issues with the difficulty progression. Like, I mean, they throw you to the wolves and they throw you to the wolves quickly. I mean, it's fun, it's satisfying when you move on, but there's just some things that happen throughout that don't make sense, and enemies sort of gathered in a way that just I don't know. I wasn't getting a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm glad it's free. I'm glad I didn't spend any money on it, because I might pick it up one more time and that'll probably be it.
How lucky is Epic that Battle Royale came along? Because there was nobody talking about Fortnite before they added that Battle Royale mode.
yeah, and I mean, and look at it now too, in that it's taking over from PUBG. PUBG's falling into second place. I mean, Fortnite is growing at like an astronomical level. It's crazy.
Well, it's just way more accessible, right?
And it's more
Well,
polished.
and what
It's a lot cleaner looking.
Yeah.
I mean, aesthetically,
it
it's way nicer.
without question, it's definitely like sort of it's a lot cleaner. It's visually more appealing. It's definitely wackier. Like, I feel like I'm playing something a little bit more for a younger age demographic than I am when I'm playing PUBG. But at the same time, I'm amazed how many people are playing it. Like, I will die and I'll finish like 90th out of 100. About as good as I do. I'll finish. If I finish top 50, I'm happy. So if I get in the top 50 and I die, I can exit the lobby and jump back into another game with 100 people within like 3 minutes. Like, it is incredibly fast how quickly they throw you back into a game, which just kind of tells you how many people are playing it. So yeah, I love that. I'm not sitting around the lobby waiting forever for another 100 people to gather so that we can play a game where the connections are strong. So yeah, it's incredible how popular it is, and it's fun and it's free.
And they add content like almost like, is it at least weekly? They're adding new, I mean, most of it's like cosmetic type things for the most part, but I see them all over Twitter, like, oh, look what we're adding now. And it's always like, yeah, like you were mentioning, that sort of over the top, we don't take ourselves too seriously type items that are like kind of goofy, super fun, I mean, whereas like PUBG is definitely, on this more serious side, I guess. I mean, or at least the more clinical side on visuals and everything else. I mean, again, maybe I'm wondering if the fact that it's blowing up so much is the fact that, from people that I've talked to, they feel that it's a little bit built more to be accessible for console as well, right? Whereas PUBG feels almost foreign, everybody says, when they try and play it with a controller on the Xbox. They're like, no, we'll play it, but it's made for PC.
Yeah, I remember talking about this on a few podcasts ago. PUBG really does feel like it was meant to be played with PC. I just find some of the shooting mechanics and the controls a little bit just not as refined when I'm using a controller. Like, I find sometimes when it's a one-on-one battle with someone else, it comes down to pure luck. I'll be going up against the guy, he'll be hopping around, I'll be hopping around, using the pray and spray approach, and sometimes it feels a little bit fluky. It's not as tight as it is in Fortnite. Fortnite feels so smooth, and I just enjoy the combat mechanics a lot better than I do in PUBG.
Do you find that you're using the building mechanics? Are you like building stairs and walls and whatnot in like inventive ways, or like have you hit that level yet? Because some of the things I see, like when I see how other people play this game, I mean, not only are they skilled in terms of just a shooter, just they're inventive. I mean, they play the game in a way that I don't know if I don't know if I would have that thought in my head to go, I'm going to do this and then this and then this and build these extravagant things to get themselves out of trouble or to give themselves an advantage. Do you do any of that?
Yeah, I don't do a ton of it, and my daughter's very quick to criticize me. Like, Dad, you got to build this, you got to reinforce that, build some stairs here. And I'm like, no, kid, I'm still learning how to shoot and kill people properly. Never mind, start to figure out how to build shit.
Listen, Sophia, I gotta walk before I can run.
That's right.
Well, this thing's really designed for that Minecraft generation, right? Picking up materials and building all kinds of stuff. The young kids these days, they know how to do that, but us old farts, we just want to shoot people.
I'd be curious.
Right. And there are some impressive forts that people are building in these maps, and they're doing it in such a way that they're protecting themselves, and then you walk over to their little fort and they're just kicking your ass.
I'd be curious. I mean, to give it to my youngest. I mean, Skylar's 9. He loves Minecraft. He's a freak for that game. But he's not very good at anything that has any sort of shooting mechanic. I don't know if I'm an irresponsible parent by allowing my 9-year-old to play shooters.
No,
I don't know.
Not at all. It's too cartoony. I wouldn't have a problem letting him play at all. There's no sort of real blood and guts or anything like that to it. And I think he'll pick it up and play with ease. I was surprised. I didn't think my daughter does not like shooters. She plays a little bit of the Call of Duty Zombies. That's about it. And even at that, she's not that good at it. But she absolutely loves Fortnite for some reason. Now, I know there's a whole sort of all her friends are on Snapchat and they're talking about it and they're hyping it up. So I know there's a little bit of that at play, that all her friends and all the guys in her school are playing it. So
that's going to pass, though. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I lose track of who the important ones are, but one of the Jenners basically said that Snapchat sucked now, and they lost something like $500 million in $500 million in stock value overnight, because I think it was Kylie Jenner. Yeah, no, anyway, I think it was Kylie Jenner. I don't know, but she was like, Snapchat sucks, and they lost freaking $500 million or something ridiculous overnight. How do these people have this much power? They're celebrities just for being celebrities. It blows my mind.
Well, let's not give them any more airtime in that case. Shawn, I see here you've been a very bad boy and didn't play any games.
It's not that I didn't. I don't think I had enough time to really get into much of anything with real oh yeah, I got my mitts on this. I did one of those things where I turned on both the Xbox, the PlayStation, and I went to my library and I just flicked through and spent 20 minutes, 30 minutes going, I don't know about that one. I don't want to play that one. I don't want to play that one. And by the time I thought I might have settled on something, I didn't want to play games anymore. Talk about a first world problem. I just have so many games I can't decide which one to play. I can already hear people on the other side going, you know what, dude, fuck you, shut up. But I did make time to go see a movie. I mean, I don't...
Ooh, I think I can guess which one, but why don't you tell me what it is?
I went and saw Black Panther. And, it's funny, I tend to be a little, I don't want to say cynical, but when I see things hyped up in a really, really big way, not necessarily so much in lead up, but especially afterward, in terms of reviews, when people are talking about it after it's out, I tend to go in cynical because I just know how strong hive mind can be. I mean, we've experienced it in the game industry where, you go to give a game a score and you're thinking, man, this game is a 6, right? It's okay. And then you see nope, 9, 10s, best ever. And you're like, what? But people just tend to group with their opinion. But anyways, yeah, no, I went in kind of cynical going, it'll probably be good. It's Marvel. It'll probably be okay. But it won't be that good. It was that good. It was really good.
Absolutely.
I mean, man, we've got to be, I do want to make sure we're careful here because we've hardly passed the statute of limitations on spoilers for this one. There's a lot of people who haven't had a chance to see it.
Well, wait, have you seen it, Paul?
I have not seen it.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't want to give anything away.
Okay.
I just think the beauty of this one is that, I found Michael B. Jordan character Killmonger to be probably one of Marvel's most developed villains to date. There's a lot of emotional ties into his story. The costuming is insane. it's just like everything about it all put together is probably one of the best packages that Marvel has put together in a long, well, I don't want to say in a long time because I like all their movies, but it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's a special movie. It really is. And I feel like that hype is actually really, really warranted. I mean, I'd look forward to actually chatting about it further on down the road here where we can go, okay, it's safe to talk spoilers. You know what I mean? But it's really good.
I fell off the Marvel train hard after the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't know why. Just didn't really have any interest.
You know what's cool?
Guardians was a great movie.
Guardians is great, but you know what's really cool, honestly, Paul, is that this movie, Black Panther, is entirely standalone in a sense.
It is.
I've seen complaints about how it's kind of what are we at? We're at phase 3, I think, of their. It's a very standalone movie, in that it does not dip at all, really, apart from a couple of things towards the end. But it doesn't dip into the Marvel U as we've seen it, right? But I do think that it's more so it's setting up not just the character of Black Panther, but Wakanda as a nation for a more in-depth role in the Marvel U. But as it stands for a movie, it's a very singular and solo experience. You can go in not having watched any of the Avengers or the Captain America flicks or anything, and still really get a feel for the movie. Like, I would be surprised if you were to watch it and not like it. I really would.
Yeah, I would be too. I think it's kind of one of those, especially you, Paul. I think guaranteed you'll like it. Guaranteed. I mean, it's definitely been hyped up, but it's just so enjoyable. And the characters, it's just such a well-told story. The characters are great. I know there were some complaints about the CGI, but I thought it was pretty good. I mean, I'm not a tech head, so
I thought it looked good. I mean, honestly, the only complaints that I ended up hearing was people trying to undercut the fact that there were lots of black people going to the theaters all dressed up and really celebrating what this movie's about. I mean, because there's some pretty memorable quotes, and again, I'm not going to give anything away, but there are some really memorable quotes made that really kind of put it in perspective. This is a powerful movie for a lot of people, but when they're making fun of because I don't want to disrespect anybody. I don't know the names of the garb or anything else, but they're going fully dressed up and just celebrating this movie, and people are going why do you guys have to do that? Make such an epic about it. It's just I feel like looking around at every one of these people, and it's white people dress up for Star Wars movies, you fucking morons. Right. Just let them have their goddamn moment and let's move on. But
it's like what you say on Twitter. Shh, let people enjoy things. Yeah, let people
enjoy things. You don't have to like it, but for fuck's sake, do you have to piss on it? No, man. But that's the only thing that's literally the only negative thing I've seen about it, is that some people are expecting some of that Marvel tie-in. And why do black people go so extra, as they put it? And I'm like, man, shut up. God. Let them go extra. Yeah. Let them have their fun.
Yeah, well, I will put that on the list for show.
Paul, what have you played?
Well, I played a couple of things, guys. Since last week, I played about 1 billion hours of Metal Gear Survive.
I'm sorry.
Oh, and we're gonna be talking a lot about that game.
So we're gonna get to Metal Gear. Obviously, because I know that we have some things to talk about with Metal Gear, but why don't we talk about what else you played before we go back to Metal Gear then?
Sure. We brought this up last week, and, we reached out to the developers and got a couple of codes for Super Seducer.
Yeah.
And, had a couple of beers on Friday night and dove right into Super Seducer.
So did you woo all the ladies? Did you reach out and touch all the boobs?
Are you now a super seducer?
Probably technically, yes. I did choose every dirty option that I could possibly find. Me and my wife did that. But shockingly, I didn't find the guy that creepy. The way the game plays, it's video, so the dude's talking to some girl, and then it'll pop up with a bunch of options, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And there's obviously one correct answer and the rest are ridiculous. So you pick all the wrong answers just to watch the guy do something ridiculous. And then he pops up with him sitting on a bed by himself, telling you why that was wrong. And a lot of them, especially the most ridiculous ones, he's just like, I can't believe you picked that. Let's move on.
So does this game almost try to take itself seriously and like, I'm going to teach you how to pick up the ladies?
It does, but from what I played, I only went a few levels into it, but it actually kind of makes sense what he's saying. I mean, he's not trying to be a true pickup artist in the context of the game. I don't know, in his courses or his real life or anything. I don't know who this guy is.
You know what this sounds like to me then? Is like, it's like when, you hear those ads on the radio, where like some well-known, like a Tony Robbins is coming to town, and you can go to like a thing or whatever to sit in and learn all the secrets, register now. It basically sounds, it's like, you know what? People are probably too embarrassed to go to one of these things to learn how to pick up ladies. So we'll just pipe it into their homes via this video game.
Yep. It's very much like that. It kind of plays on a few psychological principles of what makes people feel comfortable in an interaction. So I don't know if later on it gets into more creepy or more coercive things, but at the start of the game anyways, it's very basic how to talk to people, not just in a romantic context, but how to interact with people and make them feel like they're being heard.
Or being seduced.
That seems in a sense, that seems almost weird, I guess. And like, they didn't market it as educational in a sense, right? I mean, they gave it a name like Super Seducer. So yeah. I don't know, I think, how I feel about the fact that they're gamifying what should be considered just basic contact. Like, at what point did we lose our grip on reality, where it's like, it's that hard for one person to talk to another person and know that they're not being creepy? Like, where did that line get blurred? I mean, I don't know if it's because we're in that age where it's easier and easier to sit behind a screen, and I mean, you can get your groceries delivered, you can pay your bills online, like, you don't need to leave your house. I mean, is that why we're here? But it just seems like talking to people should not be this hard. We don't need to gamify how to talk to a lady.
Yeah, agreed. And if you were somebody who is a complete basement dweller and didn't know how to talk to people, I don't think this would give you the best impression of how to go about it.
You'd have to get out of the basement for starters.
You do. You have to see sunlight, for one.
That's right. Step one, sunlight.
Step two, shower.
Maybe step one should be shower. Step two, sunlight.
I mean, after you've seen the sunlight, you're going to want to go back inside right away. So let's leave the shower at step two. So yeah, do we want to talk about Survive right now?
Well, yeah, like let's get into it. I mean, first and foremost, how has your experience been with Survive?
I have been so back and forth on this game. 1 second I'll be in love with it, and then the next second I absolutely hate it. But as the hours went on and as the missions piled up, it kind of went downhill, I would say. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a mediocre game that is pretty harshly damaged by the fact that it's got the Metal Gear title on it.
Which is fair, and I mean, and obviously it's suffering because of that, right? I mean, I'm just kind of looking here at what we've got queued up for news, and bottom line is the sales suck. People aren't buying it. People just, it's not Metal Gear as they know it. So they're kind of, they're jumping ship.
Yeah, I mean, if you can put the fact that it's not a Metal Gear Solid game aside, and you like games like Rust or DayZ, you might find that you really love the game, because it does a lot of things that I think are interesting in terms of navigation. A lot of the map has what they call dust surrounding it. And when you're in the dust, your map doesn't work, your waypoints don't work, and you're consuming oxygen. So exploring in the dust is a little bit difficult because you got to manage that oxygen, and you don't really know where you're going, so you're kind of feeling your way around. It's easy to get lost. It's easy to starve and die.
This game sounds like all kinds of fun.
Yeah, it's really oppressive in a lot of ways, and they make it really, really hard to like at the beginning.
I gotta go buy that shit.
Yeah, try to pick it up.
Fuck Metal Gear Survive. You want to send me a copy of Super Seducer? Let's see if any of these moves work on my wife.
But yeah, the other thing is that the micros are greasy. They are really, really greasy.
Oh, fuck yeah.
My God.
It's not... I just don't even know how in the hell this passed their quality check. And they're like, yeah, guys, this is a good idea. Because it's not just like, people were talking about on the news or whatever, how, what is it? It's $10 for a save slot to buy a new save slot. But then can't you pay you can pay micros for loadouts? It's woven deep into the system.
Yep, they've got all the typical boost kind of things that you would have seen from EA a few years back. Basically XP boosters or credit boosters, that kind of thing. The paying for save slots, I mean, they trickle out the SV coins, as they call them, with the daily login bonuses, but it would take you months to get enough to buy another save slot.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 SV coins for a save slot, and right? So that's like $10.
That's not right. I mean, not at all. I've argued staunchly for micros when they work, right? When they serve the customer, when they don't affect the gameplay. I mean, yeah, okay, this technically doesn't affect gameplay, right? I mean, it's your choice to have a second save slot, but I mean, it's a save slot. Like, let's break down what that is. It's like, oh, you'd like to save a game that's not just the first game? Like, what the fuck? To actually expect somebody to pay money for that on top of the fact that they already paid $60, $70 for a game? Like,
well, Survive's $40, so there's that.
That doesn't make it better. Let's, like, if we're going to argue about whether or not that makes it better, I'd be like, no.
This isn't a true Metal Gear game either. Like, it's a spin-off. You're not even getting like those authentic characters like you've received in the other games. And then for Konami to do this, to pull this and really nickel and dime you, I mean, at a time when they need to be winning fans back, they pull this. And I mean, gamers aren't stupid. They're reading the same shit that we're reading, and they are just going to stay clear from this game because they're seeing all this. Who's going to want to jump into an experience like that where it's just out to just bleed you dry?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, have you settled, Paul? I know that you're saying you're kind of going back and forth review wise. Have you settled on a score? I mean, how much is that these greasy micros kind of affected where you're gonna go on a number for this?
Well, reviews written. It will be on the site by the time this is live. Waiting for some input from Mr. Houston on the score. I know what I want to give it, but I want to get a second opinion before writing it down.
Yeah, and that's always good.
Well, I already gave you my opinion, so it should be -20 because there's no David Hayter. Another -30 for the micros. So right now we're at 50.
+20 for no Kiefer.
Oh yeah,
that's
okay,
right. You gave +20 for no Kiefer. I saw that.
That's right. So we're back up to 70.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to fall somewhere in the 60s, probably on the lower end of the 60s. It's not a bad game. It is not the heights that are expected from the franchise.
Well, you might not think it's a bad game, but somebody deep inside Konami thinks it's a really bad game.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, they do. So it turns out that Metal Gear Survive actually contains a tribute to Kojima, but also some pretty thinly veiled barbs directed at Konami. So at the beginning of the game, there's a shot of a clipboard that's showing a list of characters in the style of the Phantom Pain. We've got Dire Gibbon and Iron Marlin. But if you take the first letter of the last names of a bunch of those characters, it spells KJP Forever, which was the internal code for Kojima Productions.
Yeah, which, I mean, at first, I mean, as reported actually on COG when James wrote the article, is it was viewed as a tribute, but somebody actually took the time to dive deeper. I mean, and I think I'm going to preface this by saying it amazes me how much time people have on their hands to figure this out.
Yeah.
It blows my fucking mind.
Right.
But
Yeah,
when
this
you,
just smacks of having newspaper clippings and strings on your wall, like creating lines between things.
Exactly.
But it does make sense.
Exactly. And I mean, and this goes deep, and how this got past them is absolutely beyond me. So yeah, like you're saying, there's that clipboard thing, and like kind of towards the middle, the last names of all these people, the first letter of every last name does spell out KJP space, which is where the player name is, forever. So Kojima Productions Forever. Oh, well, that's nice. And it's marked as MIA, right? So missing in action. But at the very first line, we have Vengeful Mosquito is named. So the thought is that whoever Vengeful Mosquito is the person who dropped this in, who basically pulled this, like the ultimate troll. But next, Iron Marlin and Dire Gibbon. So MG, so Metal Gear, and those are the only two characters that are marked KIA. They're killed in action. So we've got from Vengeful Mosquito, Metal Gear, killed in action, Kojima Productions Forever, followed up by, which is just crazy, Bastard Yoda and Cunning Yuji, which are two guys who were part of Kojima Productions, who obviously stayed on with Konami, who they marked as AWOL, so like AWOL from Kojima Productions. So it's basically like from top to bottom is like the ultimate troll. The ultimate troll, and for whatever reason, it got past Konami, which is just like, how the fuck did this get past Konami?
At the very least, how did Bastard Yoda and Cunning Yuji AWOL from their duty? How did that get past?
Well, yeah, because they worked on the game. That's what's so crazy about this is that like they went, yeah, well, we're just gonna, like, who's their QC guy? He should be fucking fired. It's like, yo, Yoda.
Well, they probably
Yoda,
have an entire.
They put your name in the game. They called you a bastard.
Yeah, they probably have an entire team that's supposed to like look at these things, like QA groups and all that stuff. Heck, even focus groups. Like, how did this not get picked up by anybody? I mean, whoever did that though has got some balls.
Oh my god,
that is one of the. That is a complete savage move. Like, wow,
they've absolutely been wiped out by the Yakuza at this point.
Yeah.
Do you think they patched it out, Phil? Now that it's surfaced and people are going to talk about it, because this video in the course of a day is at like 500,000 views or something ridiculous.
I don't think they touch it, because that's acknowledging that it's accurate.
Exactly. I don't think they can patch. If they patch it, then that's a big time admission of guilt.
I mean, there's a time when it's like, okay, guys, this is a bit of a conspiracy theory. And then there's other times where it fits so perfectly that you go, this isn't conspiracy. This is a big fuck you.
So it's worth noting that video is from Young Ye, who's a pretty well-known Metal Gear YouTuber. And I'll put that video in the description for the show so you guys can take a look at that.
I think he's a robot.
I thought he was a robot too, but then his face showed up at the end of that video, and I was like, "You are a man."
Yeah, that threw me off as well. I was like, "Oh wow, this sounds like a bot." No, wait, it's not a bot. Not a bot at all.
But anyway, Metal Gear Survive not selling so well either.
No.
Mario wrote an absolutely brutal news post that just slays the game, comparing it to Lawbreakers.
Oof.
Which is harsh.
Well, I mean, if your review score holds up and the sales, would this make it the worst Metal Gear game ever? Like, really?
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier. If I thought any of even the PSP ones were worse than this, probably not. This is probably the worst.
This is just a disaster for Konami. Just a disaster.
And you got to wonder how they recover. But, I mean...
Yeah.
Meh.
Do you think they'd try to get Kojima back or try to get him to make something?
Not in a million years.
No, yeah. I think that ship has sailed.
I mean, they say don't burn your bridges, but they torched the shit out of it. Like, that's just...
Did they?
I mean,
Sure did.
remember them trying to, like, ban him from the Game Awards, or they did, didn't they? Didn't they actually successfully do it one year? He wasn't allowed to attend the Game Awards, and, like...
Yep.
And then some of the horror stories about, like, the actual development. Was it not Phantom Pain, where he's like, they locked me in a room, and it's like, do your damn job, and just, yeah, there's nothing but bad blood there. They're never getting them back.
Konami in general has a terrible reputation. Like, employees not having the same email address for more than a month, not being allowed to have contact lists. It is a complete factory where you're just put at your cubicle and you just type until you either die or quit, and they bring in the next person.
That's crazy.
Jesus.
That's not how you run a company in this day and age.
No, it's not.
In happier news, Ni no Kuni 2 has gone gold.
Yay!
I never played the first one, but it looks cool. The second one does.
Trev.
The first one's really good. The first one's really, really good. And I mean, it had like the whole, I mean, the tie-in with the Studio Ghibli guys, and it just looked so good. Just everything about it is beautiful. It played well. I really enjoyed the story. I'll admit that I know a little bit less about Ni no Kuni 2. I haven't followed it as much.
Me
but
either.
I've seen that there's some things in there that I'm like, what's going on? I mean, I believe there's like actually some like kingdom building stuff that's in this one, and yeah, like some neat mechanics. I mean, knowing how much I like the first one, I'll probably end up going in on Ni no Kuni 2, but I don't know if I'll buy it at new. I might hold off a little bit. I've got enough to play right now.
The real question is, does it have Mr. Drippy? That'll make it a day one.
Well, wasn't it the...
That sounds so wrong.
Yeah.
It was the... I got your Mr. Drippy right here. No, it's bad, right? I think it was the...
God damn it, go take care of Mr. Drippy. Go clean that shit up.
Sounds like you've got an infection of some type.
Goo!
I'm pretty sure Mr. Drippy was like a Mr. Drippy plushie was part of like the collector's edition for the first one too.
So
Mr. Drippy. That is not a real character.
yeah, it is.
It is, man. Google that shit.
No, don't Google it. Just keep it in your mind as whatever you think Mr. Drippy is.
Mr. Drippy.
The reality is probably much darker.
Someone didn't think that one through.
Lost in translation.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, he's got just the heaviest Scottish accent too.
Oh, I everything about him. He's such a fun character. But this is like, yeah, Ni no Kuni 2 is like a total... I mean, it's a completely standalone new experience, is it not? I mean, is it not like its own game completely? It's not really tied into the first?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much standalone. So it sounds like if you missed Ni no Kuni 1, which you shouldn't have done, you could jump in here.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, I'm in if Mr. Drippy is in. I'll jump in just so I can hook up with Mr. Drippy.
Well, this one might have his wife, Mrs. Drippy.
Yeah.
Gross.
But in all seriousness, it does look beautiful, though. It really does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that the delays are over and the game is coming.
Speaking of... no, I'm not going to go there. The PUBG military skirt is on sale, and it's $1,260?
Oh.
Yeah, like the drop rate on it is like 0.00064% or something. It's literally a piece of gray fabric, and it's for sale for, almost $1,300.
Is anybody really paying that, though? Or is this kind of like a gag, throwing it up for sale for that much, knowing full well nobody's going to buy that?
No, I mean, think about it. Look at the markets for games like, League of Legends or Dota or whatever. Like, people pay crazy amounts of dollars to get their hands on what they feel are limited in-game items. I wouldn't. Not in a million years.
Nope. Is that a generational thing? I mean, we've talked about this before. Is it one of those things where it's just like, the 40-plus crowd that have been at it for a while, we're just turning our nose, but the younger generation's like, yeah, I want that item.
Okay. You know what? To argue that, this is the same generation that yells at our generation that it's or like not so much us, that it's more so our parents, the baby boomers, but they're like, I'm never gonna be able to afford a house. I want my avocado toast. I want my $1,300 PUBG military skirt. Like, no, they're nobody, like not in their right mind. Anyways, this is extravagance beyond measure, like, because there's nothing viable about this. Like, do you remember when we chatted a few weeks ago about the cheetah mask thing that the guy had gotten, and it was like a $1,200 item in PUBG? Okay.
Right. Yes.
It was, and then what happened is, so as that story, the more kind of filled out, what had happened is they increased the drop rate on it, and it went from a $1,200 item to a $300 item to a $200 item, So whoever the idiot is that puts out $1,300, because there's only one of these things on the market, and then in a month they make it widely available that everybody can have it, like, wasted money much?
Yes. I mean, it's one thing if you're going to spend like $1,300 on like a Wayne Gretzky rookie card. Like, you know what I mean? That's tangible, that you'll be able to keep and pass down from generation to generation. But $1,300 on like a virtual collectible like that, it just doesn't kind of make sense to me. But hey, people are doing it.
You know what it is? To me, this screams like, this is like that, what's that asshole, that pharmaceutical prick, Martin Shkreli? That's like him.
Yes.
That's like him fucking buying the Wu-Tang album, It's like, I'm going to take this because I can take it away from other people and I'm rich and I'm an asshole. Like, there's no logic behind a $1,300 like, when you actually see the picture of this thing, it's like there's no development involved in this thing. It's literally gray. Here, have this gray thing to cover your groin. $1,300, please. What the fuck?
Wow.
Whoever pays for it is a dumbass. I hope they hear it. Email me. You tell me why you're going to buy this thing for $1,300, and I will argue with you till the sun comes up that you're a fucking moron.
You know who's not a moron? It's the person who turned Papers, Please into a movie.
I heard about this. I'm probably, I don't know if I'm one of the few. I never played Papers, Please, so I don't know what's so exciting about this.
What?
Well, I know, isn't it like you're a border guard and you're basically a paper pusher. You're processing people coming through the border. You're denying and you're approving people to come through a border, and then your actions have a consequence. So there's apparently like 20 different endings, and depending on who you approved to come in to cross the border and who you denied determines what ending you get. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Yeah, it sounds like something I'd be interested in, for sure. I don't know why I passed over it. I know there was a very minimal game, too, right? Like, there wasn't a lot to it. It was very simple in its presentation. But it stuck with, anybody I know that's played it, they've said it stuck with them. Yeah,
they love it.
It really stuck with them. So, and it's cool just to see how the gaming medium can cross over as well when proper respect is paid. I'm just kind of catching up here, but the flick itself is only about 10 minutes, right? So it's not like they're trying to do like a 2-hour movie. But we've just seen it time and again when they try to adapt anything with a video game into a movie. Then we get Assassin's Creed, which is dog shit, right? A horrible movie, a horrible fucking movie. But whatever. So they did it in 10 minutes, but they paid respect to what the game was, and people are loving it. It's unanimous across the board. People are saying it's really, really good.
Well, Paul, you played it. What do you think?
I haven't watched the film yet, but the game itself, you guys are hitting the nail on the head. It's kind of an emotional experience. It's well written. It makes you think about your actions and how they're affecting others. I kind of took it as a commentary on the broader, on society in a more broad manner of how we treat each other. But it didn't explicitly say that it was about that. So that's what made it a worthwhile experience for me.
Interesting. Yeah, the funny thing, this coming back around in this manner is probably what's going to convince me to pick it up and play it, because it's not expensive. I looked it up. It's pennies on Steam, so it's worth playing through. So I think my goal over this week is to actually get into Papers, Please, and watch the flick so I can kind of have a proper commentary on it, because I kind of want to know what all the fuss is about now.
this movie's already available? Like, we can watch it
Oh, it's
now?
it's on YouTube.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
It's on YouTube.
Excellent.
And it's only 10 minutes of your precious life, so...
I like it. Not much of a commitment at
Well,
all.
this is the ADD generation, so,
Right.
Ooh, look, shiny things.
They'd be stretching for content if they went any more than 10 minutes. It's okay in a 2 or 3 hour game, but yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
10 minutes is probably the right length.
Yep, cool.
So some analyst with the NPD is predicting that the PS5 is going to come out in 2020.
Yeah. You know what I think about that?
No.
You can't. You've already got yours pre-ordered.
Honestly, my thoughts on this are, who cares? I hate this sort of stuff. It's just like, I mean, it's literally,
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for clicks, don't get me wrong. I mean, because people are interested, like, ooh, I wonder. But, I mean, literally, I mean, the job description of an analyst, in a sense, is like, okay, we're going to look at the way the market's going, and then we're going to predict things with little to no... They're the weathermen of the technology world, Maybe we'll get it wrong, but people don't care. I mean, Michael Pachter is never fucking right, ever. He's never right. He's always wrong, yet he makes a living predicting everything about video games. I mean, and I should make sure I preface all this by saying, like, he's a wonderful man. I met him, and he's the
good guy.
kindest,
Yes,
like,
is.
friendliest dude. And even I
Definitely.
love he's really good at self-deprecation, because I've gotten him on Twitter before where he's like, look, one of my predictions actually came right for once. So he knows, like, they're literally just throwing dust in the wind and hoping something catches, and yeah, like, I don't know, like, obviously until I see a piece of hardware, this is all just lip service. This is just to get people talking.
I mean, your reaction was definitely my first reaction, like, come on, whatever. But then, like, when I thought about it some more, and I do know that, that 8K had a showing at CES this year. So, I mean, 2 years from now, maybe there will be a new PlayStation console that has built-in VR, maybe comes with the headset. By then it'll be what? PSVR version 3.0, 4.0. Maybe it'll be built into the console somehow. Maybe it'll have 8K capabilities. I don't think it's a huge stretch. You know what I mean?
I mean, and I don't want you to take this personally by any stretch of the imagination, because I just want to yell out, like, shut your dirty whore mouth. Because I literally just got a 4K TV. Paul just got a 4K. You don't even have a 4K TV. And you're like, maybe in 2 years we're all going to be playing on 8K. And I'm like, fuck, shut up. You just shut up.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that we'll all be playing 8K, but I think it might have those capabilities. You know what I mean? Like, it might have that ability. Like, look, we're always going to want bigger, better hardware. We're going to want things that look even crisper. Like, so I don't know. I don't think we may poo-poo it now, but
I'm not poo-pooing that it might not happen. That's like, I just don't find it as much of a talking point, because it's literally just an analyst going, yep.
Oh, it's
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
right. Yeah, spitballing is probably the best term for it, right? Like, he just threw it out of guess based on, here's the trends and here's what we've seen. Like, he's looking at past cycles of consoles, and I mean, not to say that he hasn't done research on it in a sense, but no matter what, in the long run, who cares? When we see a piece of hardware and they go, this is the day it comes out, well, then there we go. Now we all know when the PS5 comes out. Right.
And by the time 2020 rolls around, nobody's going to remember this prediction specifically.
No, exactly. Like, and that's just it. It's word salad. Someone just threw it out there and is like, people are going to talk about it. And guess what? We all did. Right. Yeah. I'll wait for, like, the hard news from direct from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Well, maybe I'll cut this whole section and then no one will know that we talked about it.
No,
see.
No.
No.
I'm just gonna point out that within this section, I did tell Trevor to shut his dirty whore mouth, and that deserves to stay.
I would never ever cut that out.
Well, and there might be a lot of people that are out there thinking like, geez, should I get myself a PS4 Pro, or should I wait for the next great PlayStation console to come out? Like, I think there's people that ask themselves that question.
Okay, but if you're asking that question and you call yourself a gamer of any like real measure, where like you're interested and you want to play games, you're not waiting another 2 years to upgrade or to get involved in this generation of consoles. You know what I mean?
No, but if you have like if you've got just the base PlayStation 4 that you bought way back in 2013, when did it first come out? 2013? 2014?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
13,
you're sort of you're sort of at the contemplation stage, like, do I go get myself a 4K TV? Do I get myself a Pro? Is it worth it? Or should I really just wait a couple more years?
Yeah, and I mean, and then too, but that's the thing. I mean, you're going off of the whimsy of a guy who's like, oh, I looked at the numbers and I think it's going to come in 2020. Man, I don't go off of I thinks. I know what's in front of me, and if I want to play a game and I want to play it to the best of its availability, I mean, and again, like, for a lot of this comes down to money, monetary reasons too. Not everybody can afford to go out and buy a brand new 4K TV. Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying is maybe someone's going to have to really, really think about it and everything else. But I don't know how many people are going to take this type of report without, a healthy, like a big dose of, or a big grain of salt. You know what I mean? I go,
right.
There's nothing concrete. And, The Last of Us 2 is going to be out at the end of the end of this year, maybe. And God, I want to play that and I don't want to wait. So I don't see a lot of people sidestepping at this point based on some unnamed. We don't even have the dude's name at this point, right? Unnamed analyst.
Unnamed analyst at the NPD. That's what they go by. That's their Twitter handle. I don't know, actually. So this is the part of the show where I would usually talk about releases.
Oh, are we done with the news?
Yeah, we're done with the news.
Yeah.
Okay, we talked about all the news.
I'm glad you squeezed the news in there, though.
I know, I forgot.
The news.
So, the releases this week, it's thin, guys. It is really thin.
Honestly, like, at a glance, there's literally nothing here that I care too much about, apart from letting people know, like, hey, these are the games you can get, and then we move on.
Yeah, there's nothing there that I'm running out to grab. Let's just...
Well, most of them are ports too. Like they've already been out on one thing or another. It's one new game, I believe, and all ports.
Yeah, like there's Payday 2's coming on Switch,
which Alex just hammered. I think he gave it a 50. Like he just destroyed and took a big proper coiler on.
Is this Alex Everett?
Yes. Yeah, he did not like Payday 2 on the Switch at all.
He doesn't have to. That's his right.
That absolutely.
Right. I'm not going to argue with him about his opinion.
So what is out this week? We should run down the list.
Well, we've got Gravel on Xbox One. Don't know what that is. De Blob 2 on PS4 and Xbox One. Immortal Redneck on Xbox One. The aforementioned Payday 2. Rift Star Raiders on Xbox One.
I don't know if I can. I don't know enough about it to give it a.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it. And
well, I know it's sitting in our back end right now. I know Nicholas reviewed that one, and it's supposed to. I think there's an embargo tomorrow, so by the time you're listening to this, it'll be live on COGconnected. It's COGconnected on Twitter, COGconnected on Instagram, COGconnected on Facebook. I'm a company man.
And finally, Dark...
I had to get in.
You did. I can't fault you for that. And finally, Darkest Dungeon on Xbox One.
Which is a good game, so...
Yeah, that's actually not a...
I don't want to give that the poo-pooing... It's a good game, so... But again, it's just...
We don't want to poo-poo. No poo-poo.
It's just, these are all ports, and it's a dead week, and let's, maybe we'll have more to talk about next week, but it's pretty quiet.
Well, that's good, because we got some emails to talk about.
The email. No.
Yeah, what? The email.
You're going to use that clip. You have to.
One of these days, I'll stick it in here. One of these days. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to pressxpodcast@gmail.com. pressxpodcast@gmail.com. And I will read them. And if I like them or if I don't like them, I'll put them in the cast and we'll talk about them. So this first one comes from last week from John, aka Crazy Jerry Mouse, who says, "Hello, crew. I've got a much simpler question for you this time. Has there been a video game that made you cry? And when I say that, I don't restrict it to sadness. I'm also talking about elation, joy, or perhaps being petrified." Boys, what do you think about that?
Yeah, man, like absolutely. I mean, I think, trying to narrow it down to like, a couple of experiences I can probably do with ease, but the more I think about it, there's been lots of games over the years that have given me enough of an impact where like I feel like a big emotional toll. You know what I mean? But in terms of games that actually made me cry, The Last of Us, we're well past the statute for spoilers on this one.
Yep.
So I'm not worried about it here. But just in that opening segment, holding
Joel's
daughter.
daughter.
My God, I was literally going through, and I knew. You just knew. I mean, you just knowing about what the game was, and I'm like, yep, she's gonna die. And when she did, I actually had to stop. I'm like, fuck this game. I was angry. And I genuinely, I teared up. But they built it up. They built it up so smart by having you play as her at the beginning and develop an attachment. Like, that's probably one of the smartest pieces of design I've come across in a long time. How else are they going to make you connect to that character in such a way that it matters by letting you play her first? And they're like, nah, she's fucked.
Well, and it really helped you understand Joel and how he had this attachment to Ellie and how, he was not going to let this happen to Ellie. You know what I mean? Like, he had already gone through the loss of his own daughter, and he was just not going to let this happen again. Like, you automatically sympathize with Joel, and you were rooting for him. You felt so horribly gutted by what happened early in the game. Like, it left me shook as well. That you're just rooting for him, and you understand him right from the get-go. So yeah, that's definitely one for me that left me. I don't know if it left me in tears, but it definitely left me shook.
I think my problem is that I cry easy. There's so many games where I've at least, I mean, maybe not like out bawling, obviously, but like where it, you feel the chest tighten up, you get that kind of hiccup in the throat. I'd say we're not past the statute of limitations when it comes to What Remains of Edith Finch, but that one hit me at the end. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Ugh. It was more of like instead of crying, it was just more of a sick to the gut feeling, but it was there. I mean, it was a very real sadness to it. Life is Strange hit me like that as well. There's just been a few games over the years that just kind of hit me with that, that punch to the gut sort of thing.
I think for me, the one game that kind of left me in tears was Telltale's Walking Dead, the first season,
God.
where like it is excruciating. Like, it is, the whole, and again, I'm gonna spoil
this
the
one.
shit out of
Yeah,
this. So
we can spoil this.
Yeah, if you haven't played it, you should.
Have you played this?
Yeah, I played it.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the whole part with Lee and Clementine, and then Lee dying towards the end of the episode, and then at the very end when he dies and he's holding onto her hand, and you're like, oh my God, he can't leave Clementine. Like, she's just a little girl. You can't leave her in this world alone. I was again shook.
Yeah,
it's too bad. It's too bad none of the other Telltale Walking Deads never seemed to live up to the first one. But that first season was just so great.
You know what I love about you, Trevor? Is that no matter how old you get, you'll still use the kids' lingo. Left me shook.
Right. I was triggered.
Oh, I hate that word. No, I'm not going into it.
No.
I'm not going into it.
I'm right with you guys on The Last of Us. The other one that came to my mind right away was Brothers: Tale of Two Sons.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And
yes.
I'm not going to spoil that one because I don't think that many people have actually played it. But sum it up.
And they might.
Well,
No,
I
they
think you
should.
have to spoil it in order to talk about.
No, because the thing is A Way Out is dropping March 23rd, which is the next game from Joseph Fares and Hazelight. So I have a feeling, because it was an underappreciated game, a lot of people who maybe dig their way into A Way Out might backtrack onto Brothers. So I'm kind of with you on that, Paul. I don't know if I'd want to spoil it, even though it's an older game.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think you're in the clear, but
we're too nice. We're just too nice for our own good.
You are too nice.
It's well worth the payoff. It's about teamwork. It's about brotherly love, and it's about the importance of family. And
well, it's about loss. I mean, it's a very impactful game.
It is.
I just love those games that are unpredictable, and then something happens throughout the experience, and you're like, "Holy shit! I did not see that coming." And every time I play a game, and there's that moment where you're like, "Wow, did that really just happen?" And
I love it. Those are the games that stick with you, right? I mean, and
absolutely,
it's funny. I mean, maybe that's an age thing or whatnot. Because I've got a buddy, my buddy Brad, was for years. He's just like, narrative experiences just don't work for me. He wants the action. I get bored easily. And now he's talking about, I played through Broken Age and it was a great game. And he's I think a couple years behind me, so he's like 38 or something like that. But we get a little bit older, and that idea of running around shooting things, not like we don't like it, we still have a lot of fun, but those more slowed down narrative experiences seem to hit a little bit harder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, you grow up a little bit and you're like, I also want to take in a really good story, because it's no different. I mean, the production quality has come up now to the point where it's games are more than just games. I mean, you can walk away with that same emotional impact as you get from reading a book or watching a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So they're more than they used to be.
One of the things that strikes me about all those games that we mentioned is that they're kind of transformative in a way. So when the twist happens, you probably should have seen it coming, but you don't see it coming because you're invested in the story, you're invested in the characters.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, that's actually interesting. Is it that you don't see it coming, or you don't want to see it coming?
Yeah.
Which is
probably a bit of both.
It's the same thing in a sense, right? Like you're talking about The Walking Dead season 1. I knew. I'm like, he's not making it out of this.
Yeah.
And it didn't lessen that impact when it happened, right? And again, like I'd mentioned with The Last of Us, you knew what was coming. You knew what the end result was going to be of that scenario. And you're like, no, we're going to keep playing. Maybe I'm wrong. And then it hits you, but it just doesn't lessen the fact that someone punched you in the gut and, all air is gone. And you're like, oh my God. But I mean, that's the beauty of it. That's the special thing with games that have a good narrative, when they can impact you in that manner, that it's super special. It really, really is.
And now it's time for the Press X Perfect List, in which we take a topic and we come up with a list that is definitive and perfect in every way. The twist is that Trevor and Shawn don't know what my list is going to be about, and so it's coming right off the top of our heads. Yeah, it's been fun so far, so we're going to keep doing it. And
it has been fun, actually.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah, I look forward to it every week. It's
stressful, but fun.
Yeah, and well, this week's list actually fell right into our lap. Thanks, John, for the question. We're going to come up with the 10 most emotional games ever.
Oh, well, that's good. I mean, I feel like we've already kind of answered that. Like, I mean,
I feel like I'm ready for this.
Well,
list.
No, okay. I mean, even though we're going to be kind of retreading, I mean, some of the games we talked about really hit hard. I mean, we can throw those games back into the list.
Oh, totally.
I hope so.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm down with this list.
All right. Shawn, you're first this week.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I don't want to be like take the easy route and go into like, oh, we just talked about this game, so let's go with that one. I'm gonna go with That Dragon Cancer.
Oh, fuck that game. Oh.
You know, the beauty of that game is, I mean, obviously most people know the story.
It's so sad.
But do you remember, was it the Game Awards where the developer / father accepted the award and just like, you know, I mean, not only was this a chance for him to respect, you know, his child that he lost to this horrible disease, it was a chance for him to say thank you to everybody who just so lovingly not only like supported the game, but, you know, saw through what the game was and realized that there was a very human experience behind it, you know, and he teared up, and just like that to me is one of the best examples, if not the single best example I've ever seen of the impact that a game can have, not only on you as a player, but as a developer, for a healing process, you know, like getting through what's going on in your own head. Everything about that game just screams emotion at like literally every turn. And it's not I mean, you know, looking at it, it's not visually impressive or anything. It just leans 100% on what it's trying to tell you. And holy shit, is it impactful.
Yeah, not much in the way of mechanics, but it's got plenty of emotion, so definitely deserves to be on the list.
It's got emotion to spare.
What about you, Trev?
I'm gonna take Shawn's route here and not pick an easy one. I'm gonna pick a game that probably most wouldn't think of picking, but I'm gonna go with Gears of War 2. And the reason why I'm going with that is because there is a scene where Dom stumbles upon his wife Maria, who's been held captured by locusts in like this locust prison, and she's been tortured and starved to death. And he stumbles upon her, he finds her, and she's just, you know, she's almost, she can't even speak. She's, you know, she's starving. She almost looks like a zombie. But that whole scene when Dom is like, oh my God, what do I do with my wife? Like, he's just panic stricken, and it ends, and I'm going to spoil it, but it's a fucking 10-year-old game, so deal with it. Yeah. You know, he has to kill his wife. And I remember at the time, exactly, and because she was just, she was past the point of no return. There was no helping her or healing her. And I remember that scene was just like, wow, I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Like, it left me emotional, especially at that point in time in my life. So yeah, I'm going with Gears of War 2, the whole Dom Maria sequence.
Did you have to press X to feel?
Wasn't that was like in Call of Duty, wasn't it?
That was in Call of Duty.
Wasn't that the whole funeral scene, like the whole casket thing?
That's the best time to insert that joke basically ever.
Yeah.
Press X to
I mean, it's right in the title of our podcast, so I had to just have it on ready for this moment. Episode 8.
It only took us 8 episodes to get here? That's pretty good.
I mean, I'm sure we'll be able to squeeze it in another time. Somewhere down the line. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so now you're up.
Yeah, I am going to take the easy way out, and I'm going to pick Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons.
Deserved.
Good pick.
Shawn?
What's the statute on Life is Strange? Are we good?
Yeah, you're like good.
2.5 years.
Yeah,
I think you're good.
Okay.
And I know what scene you're going to
You know exactly which scene I'm talking about.
I know exactly.
So, okay, because of the episodic nature of Life is Strange, if you played it at that point where you're playing episode by episode, it was literally the cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers where, you know, I mean, and so the mechanic for people who haven't played it, but I mean, Life is Strange is like you're maneuvering time and, you know, like you can go through a situation and then you rewind time and you maybe take the other option or whatever else. And there's this one point where, you know, you make a choice of, you know, what you think you should do, whether you want to save Chloe's dad or let him go. I believe that was the decision. I'm trying to dig into the archives here.
No, you're right.
But yeah,
that's
you
right.
want to save Chloe's dad or just let him go. And I don't know a person who would not have gone. We're gonna save the dad. We're gonna try and save the day. We're gonna be heroes. And then you show up and she's in a fucking wheelchair. Like Chloe's in a wheelchair. Like you changed everything.
Mind blown.
Oh my god. Like my gut. I was like, oh, you got to be fucking joking.
Yeah, that was crushing.
It was crushing, and you couldn't fix it at that point. There was no there were so many. I'm like, oh, I need to try and fix this and make another choice. It's like it's one of the few points in the game where it's like, no, that decision's been made, and it fucking killed me. Like it was super impactful too, because it was just like, yeah, she's got her dad back, but you literally changed her entire life, and it's up to her to decide at that point, like whether or not you did it for the better. So yeah, that hit me like a ton of bricks, and it's one of those types of experiences that literally kind of took the air from my lungs. I was like, and it took me some time to recover from that moment. I really, really wished that I'd made another decision almost at that point.
And
that's a great pick. That's a great pick.
That game did that plenty of times too. Maybe not quite to the same impact level, but the other one that sticks out for me is at the very, very end of episode 5 when you have to choose whether or not to sacrifice Chloe.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the brilliance behind this game, though, too, right? I mean, and there's a reason. I don't know if you would consider, I mean, maybe you guys would say, like, was it big out the gate, or was this a slow burn in that, like, people started talking about it and were like, you need to play this game. You need to play Life is Strange.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, definite slow burn.
Yeah, it was by episode 2, I think, that I was hearing a lot of buzz about it.
And the funny thing about it is like, it uses a lot of cheesy teen lingo, you know, a lot of hella this and hella that, and, you know, and initially, I mean, I really enjoyed Max as a character. I think what drew me into the game more than anything within that first episode is the visual aesthetic, and then also the music. The music was absolutely perfect at every point of that game. You know,
it really is.
When they inserted songs, they were perfect for that situation, and so that's kind of what kept me going. And then you immediately, it's hard to not develop opinions, and if not closeness, with a lot of these characters, and even some of the characters that I found that you weren't supposed to like. For example, like Victoria, you know, you're not really supposed to like her, but then you start getting a little bit more into why she is the way she is, and they did just a wonderful job of making you care about almost every character in their own way. Like every character almost deserved a little bit of your attention.
Yeah, and you could empathize with all of them was the thing, and they did it in such an endearing way. You're making me want to go play it again, Shawn.
Huh. Well, I mean, you could go play. Have you played Before the Storm yet?
I haven't. I have it downloaded. That might be on my list for this week.
Yeah. That's kind of. I started into it, but I haven't gotten through it, so I can't have too much comment on Before the Storm. But I don't know. I haven't heard as many people talking about it, so I don't know if it quite captured the magic in the same way that Life is Strange did. But...
Yeah. All right, Trev, you're up.
I already talked about it, but it has to be on our list, so I'm going to go with Telltale's Walking Dead Season 1.
Oh, yeah.
It just has to be on our list, so I'm throwing it in there.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
Yep, done deal. I'm going to continue on the ones that absolutely have to be on this list, and I'm going to pick The Last of Us.
Yep. Yeah. These are all like choices where you can't argue. You can't argue them at all.
Well, and when we're going around like this, I get scared that we're going to keep saying, the next guy will get it, the next guy will get it, and then we're not going to get it. So.
No, that's fair. That's actually that's actually fair.
Okay, Shawn, you're next.
I think I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb here because I don't know if everybody's going to agree with me. But in terms of a game that kind of hit me, I don't know if it was emotional or more surprising, but BioShock Infinite kind of hit me. Because, you know, you spend, you know, this whole game kind of developing this relationship between Booker and Elizabeth, and you develop a very paternal sort of emotional connection to her, and then at the end you find out, well, that's because you're her dad, and you basically sold her in an alternate timeline. And like when you realize that Booker is Father Comstock, I just like that punched me in the face so fucking hard. I like, we were talking about how like a lot of these games you see it coming and you deny it in a sense. I did not see it. I mean, maybe a lot of other people did, but I just didn't catch that connection. So when it all looped around, and I mean, I'm trying to remember back because it was a long time ago that I finished this game. But if I recall correctly, it's Elizabeth that actually kills Booker to like close this sort of weird time loop thing, to kind of end it all. I mean, that's just really fucked up. I mean, to find out that like your dad sold you, now you're killing your dad, and like it just, yeah, I don't know. I'm doing a really piss poor job of explaining why that game impacted me, but I just remember it hit me so hard at that moment and surprised me as well, that in a way that was completely unexpected. So I would encourage anybody. I mean, I don't know if you're in a BioShock, you would have played it by now. So I don't think I'm telling anybody to do something that they haven't already done. But great game.
Well, Shawn, we can tell that you're still messed up by it. So I think that qualifies it to be on the list.
Yeah, it does. And yeah, there you go. Sorry, I wanted to make sure that I had my facts straight. So I was ticky-tickying here or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, Elizabeth is your daughter, and you traded her away to Comstock in an alternate timeline when she was a baby. And then in the end, she drowned you in a lake to stop this continuous loop of her life and your life going in circles. Like, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, and it hit me, man.
Fair enough. All right, Trev, it's your last pick.
Yeah, and I'm torn between two games.
I'm already torn. Sorry.
Thanks, Natalie.
Lisa, you're tearing me apart.
You're tearing me apart, Lisa.
I still need to watch that.
I love that you just threw that in there.
I am really torn. I say the two games I'm torn. I'm torn with two, but I'm gonna Heavy Rain and Ori of the Blind Forest. But I'm gonna go with Ori, just because, and I don't quite know why. I think the whole thing with his mother, or his adopted mother dies.
It was
something like that.
Yeah, it was like like almost like an adoptive parent figure who found him and took care of Ori.
And God, it was heart-wrenching.
It really
was.
Exactly.
And so yeah, that's my pick.
And I think it was even like what made it even better was just how well animated it was too. Like it's so beautifully done that, I mean, it happened super early in the game too, but it's enough. It gives you that kind of firepower that you wanted to kind of carry on. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, so like this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, the game itself is fantastic. I mean, when you talk about games that mimic the Metroidvania, I mean, it's one of the best we've seen in years and years. It's absolutely stunning. But that point in the game, it guts you. It guts you hard too.
All right. Paul. For my last pick,
I'm closing my eyes and I'm doing my best. I don't know, Johnny Carson or whatever. I'm predicting the future, so I just want to make sure that I'm. All right, Paul, you pick.
You can let me know if I was right, if you were right about me.
That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, that's the point of this whole thing here.
It's tough. It's really tough. Because there's a few I'd like to pick, but I think the most emotional one that's left, I'm going to go with Journey.
Oh, I got it wrong. I absolutely got it wrong.
What'd you think I was going to pick?
It's my next pick.
Oh, all right. Well, if you haven't played Journey, I don't really know where you've been, but it's the kind of game that shows you without having to tell you what's going on. And it's about the interconnectedness of creatures, I guess. It's a hard one to explain, but it's well worth playing.
It's definitely an emotional journey, though.
Mm-hmm.
God, I can't believe I said emotional journey about Journey.
And you're in PR?
Yeah, I know, that wasn't on purpose. You know, I never said I was good at my job. I'm still learning.
Yep.
Half of my day is like typing out a sentence and then deleting the sentence because it's not good enough, and then typing out another sentence. It's what I do now.
Day by day, you'll start deleting fewer sentences.
Well, that's the goal. That is the goal in mind, but we'll see how we do.
You'll get there. We believe in you.
Aw, shucks.
Now make your last pick, you bastard.
Ha! Firewatch.
Okay.
Yeah, and I knew how much you loved. I believe you actually reviewed it for COG, Paul.
I did.
Yeah, so I know how much you loved Firewatch, and it's just a fantastic kind of insight into, I mean, loss, obviously. I mean, with Henry, and then as well, just like that, the relationship, as it were, that develops between Henry and Delilah over the course of the game. There's just so much about it. I think this is a game, I mean, I think a lot of people have played it. I don't think it's necessarily like a cult hit. I mean, I think a lot of people have played it, but I think it's one of those games too that a lot of people still talk about enough that the people who haven't played it are probably going to want to go out and try it. So I don't want to give too much about this one. I still think there's time for people to have picked this game up for the first time. And it's one of those games that I can't recommend enough, especially if you're into the narrative, slow burns. It's not going to take you long to get through either.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It's not crazy long. I mean, it's long if you want to. I mean, it can be. I mean, if you're searching every little corner and whatnot, it can be long. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those games that you need to experience to really understand, and just everything that the way that they did it. It's. I mean, Campo Santo did a hell of a job on that game.
And right from the beginning too, it's one of the only games that I've played that has a kind of a cold open that's text-based, but actually resonated with me. Usually I'm just like, button through this, but it's emotional right from the start. So if you haven't played Firewatch, do it. Do it now.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job, guys. This is a pretty kick-ass
I think
list.
that's a pretty good list, actually.
It's a really good list.
I mean, it's a list of 10 games that, like, if someone was to say, hey, recommend me 10 games to play, I would have no problem going top to bottom, going, play this game. There you go. Here's your list. Report back later.
Yeah, a good variety of genres, too. It's not all just narrative stuff.
Well, no, it kind of shows that, like, games can have impact no matter what form they come in. I mean, you can have shooters, I mean, technically Brothers is almost like a puzzle game in a sense. Right? So, I mean, there's all styles of game that you can go through that can have an impact on you.
So let's quickly read it back. We've got the 10 most emotional games ever, the Press X Perfect list, The Last of Us, That Dragon Cancer, Firewatch, Life is Strange, The Walking Dead Season 1, Ori and the Blind Forest, Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, BioShock Infinite, Journey, and Gears of War 2.
Damn fine list.
Hell of a list.
Well done, guys. And with that, we're coming to the end. Shed a tear. Get emotional. It's the end of episode 8 of Press X, the podcast.
Oh.
That was semi-believable.
Do you remember, did you guys ever see The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the newer one with Alan Rickman as the robot, and
oh yes,
who else is in it? Sam Rockwell is in it. Yeah. Do you remember the way that the doors on the ship sighed every time they opened and closed? Yeah. I think that's got to be one of the most absolutely underappreciated movies ever, because I don't ever hear anybody talk about it, and it's absolutely fantastic.
It captures the books
so
really well.
Good.
Yeah, really captures the spirit of the books.
Yeah, you're damn right it does. I mean, everything about it is just fantastic. Was it Mos Def is in it is really, his character is hilarious. Yeah, everything about it is good. Watch that movie if you haven't seen Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Is it on Netflix? Probably not.
Yeah, you can find it somewhere. It's on some streaming service, I'm sure. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it. If you're listening to this and you liked what you heard, you could share it with everyone that you've ever heard of. Give us 5 stars on iTunes. Give us a review. Send us an email, pressxpodcast@gmail.com. Sign up for our Facebook community /group/page group. Facebook group. Press X the
Group.
podcast.
We discussed this, remember? The page is for people who don't know about us, but the group is people who know about us and want to talk to us. God, fucking social media is confusing.
It really is. Get on the Facebooks, and you can talk to Shawn, Trev, and myself in a comfortable Mark Zuckerberg setting.
Well, I mean, if anybody can make it weird, I can make it weird. Comfortable.
Yes, that is true. But
it's a gift.
Thanks everybody for listening. We will catch you next week. Same time, same place. Talk to you later.
Adios.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye-bye.